everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. I'm Carrie Lazat, your Director of Cable and Community Relations here in Bloomfield Township. And this is Coffee with Carrie, where we talk to people who help make Bloomfield Township a great place to live, work, and play. And one of those people is our partner at the Birmingham Area Cable Board. And with me today is Cathy White. Nice
Glad to
have
be
you.
here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And I appreciate you being here because you guys are a really important partner for us. And all of the events that we do for our community that we are able to broadcast. And so if you can tell us a little bit about how long the relationship's been, I think maybe 8 years. Is that how long we've been working together?
Oh, the
or
contract.
Longer than that. Yeah.
Oh, it may be longer than that.
Yeah, longer
I
than
started with the board in 2013.
Okay.
And I know that your staff was a part of it back then. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
11 years at least.
Yeah.
About as long as I've been working for the board. So, it's just been a relationship that works really well, I think, for the communities and for the people that are watching the events that you produce. So it's been a good partnership, I think.
Well, thank you. And your production van, the $1 million production van that we have, lives here in Bloomfield Township in our garage. And so that's the way we're able to support your events. Our crews come right here to the building and they take it out to your parades and concerts in the summer and other cool things that are going on in the community to bring those to residents. So tell me a little bit about the board. I mean, all the board meetings are broadcast, so if people want to see them.
Yes, they are. And they occur on the third Wednesday of every other month at 7:45 a.m. So if you ever want to come to a meeting, just be prepared to come to an early meeting that gets done very early as well. And we have a 13-member board if we have a full board. We've got a couple vacancies.
Oh, so who are you looking for? What positions could be filled right now?
I think we need Birmingham. The way it's set up in our interlocal agreement, which is our governing document for the four communities, which, by the way, I should mention are the Village of Franklin, Village of Beverly Hills, Village of Bingham Farms, and the City of Birmingham. So it's established, the number of members on our board is pretty much similar to the size of the population of the community. So we have 7 members from Birmingham, 4 from Beverly Hills, 1 from Franklin, and 1 from Bingham Farms.
And I think Bingham Farms is the one usually hard to fill because they're so small.
Yeah, but that fortunately has been filled for a while,
yes.
and Franklin as well. I think it's Birmingham where we could use a couple more members.
Yeah. Well, and I'm always impressed with the expertise that the board members have, as yourself, an attorney. Yes.
Yes.
And a retired elected official, you said.
That's right.
Give us a little bit more about your background.
Well, I was I worked as a city attorney for the city of Livonia for almost 30 years.
Okay.
And then I was getting ready to retire from that job, and somehow or another, some people at City Hall convinced me to run for city council. And so I ran and really didn't know much about running a campaign, but I got elected. And so I served one term, then ran again and served a second term. But in Livonia, we have term limits. So 2 terms and you're out. Although you can sit out a term and run again. But I feel like I did my community service.
Yes.
I enjoyed it a lot, but it's time to, turn over the reins to other people that want to serve in that position.
Yeah.
So as a city attorney, one of my specialties was telecom and cable issues.
Okay.
So it was a natural fit for this job to come in and serve as executive director.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how it's evolved, hasn't it? Like in the last, I'll just say 30 years from tape days and from what cable was. And we're celebrating our 40th anniversary here at BCTV. And to see just even just in the technology, the cameras themselves, but also policy. And I think there's a lot of disruption going on in the industry now.
Yes.
So are you still following it? Do you still keep up on everything?
Yes. And, every young person seems to want to switch to streaming only rather than traditional cable.
Yeah.
And that's important for us because our revenues that we are handling are from cable franchise fees.
Right.
Streaming services do not pay those fees. And really, the fees were based on a federal law that recognized that once these wires were in the rights of way, they were, I mean, the rights of way are paid and maintained by the individual communities, so it made sense to have the providers pay essentially a rent to be in the right of way. So that's how it came to be that franchise fees were required from the cable providers. And those fees are either franchise fees or what we call public educational and government fees. And those fees are limited for use of what we call PEG programming, which is the educational component of it. People from the public that want to produce a show, and I know you've got a number of people that do that, and the government side of it for those government meetings that are taped, and people are at home and want to watch those and don't want to venture out on a cold, snowy day and get to watch the meeting from home, from their couch. So those fees on the cable bills go to support public educational and governmental programming, and the franchise fee part of it is just monies that the communities can use for whatever purpose.
Roads, public safety.
Build a new fire station, whatever, yes.
Right. I think here in the township, we get almost all of those franchise fees now just because we do so much more than just as far as a newsletter publication, and our community relations is funded by the franchise fees now. So that's how we spend the money here. And we're really lucky. We're really fortunate. So, as far as BACB goes, we do the concerts and, in the concerts, the park, parades, sporting events, but what does the board fund? What else do you do besides our production work? Because that's only a piece.
That's right.
Yeah.
When a community comes to us and asks for a grant, we consider the reasons for it, and we give grants to the fire and police departments for their internet costs. We give grants, very large grants, to the Birmingham Public School District to help them with, just recently we gave them a grant to upgrade the audio-visual capabilities for those classes that they teach at the high school level, and then we extended that to the middle school level. So they've got all new equipment paid for by Birmingham Area Cable Board, which really comes from the cable franchise fees.
Yes, and as well, video is a language that they all need to know now, because really, no matter what field you're in, people want to see videos as far as their way to communicate, and so to start them at that age. I know my daughter just she recently graduated from Groves High School, and she was using it in French class, and I mean every class she was in, they were doing some kind of video component, and so it's great to hear that that's where some of the money goes.
Yes.
And then also, what you said, people, if they complain, and when you give grants, it's only for your 4 communities. We should make sure that people know that,
communities.
Right?
That's right. And the school district.
Yes. Okay.
And in that we include things like NEXT, the senior facility, and the libraries. We have given funds to the Franklin Historical Society for their internet access. So the libraries and organizations like that need additional funding, we help as well.
Yeah. So as people are cutting the cord, that's why our fees are being diminished over time. And I think that there's all different kinds of suggestions as far as charging the streaming services or charging Netflix as far as a percentage in a similar way. We have to redefine that in the legislature, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, with our new FCC, I guess there's a change in the guard there. Any thoughts on how federal policy might change? It's so complicated.
It is. It almost changes daily. So I don't know if there'll be changes at the federal level, or if the FCC will step in and say, we think that there should be more equity between the traditional cable providers and the strictly streaming services. And now there's, as you know, interplay between the cable providers and streaming, and they're all getting into that as well. So,
Right.
It's pretty complicated.
Yes. Well, I know I went to NATOA, which is the National Association of Telecommunication Advisors and Associates. I think that's what, right? And the first year I went, like the mantra was, if they're operating in the rights of way, it's still something they have to pay for. So I think that's, that's one of the core messages that I continue to repeat myself. Like, they're operating in the rights of way. Somebody needs to be paying for it.
That's right. That's right. At some point, there are wires. I mean, there's a component that's wireless, and that's how the satellite services sort of escape paying any kind of a fee for the use of the rights of way. But a lot of, when you think about it, at some point there is a wire that's in a right-of-way that helps provide that service to the subscriber.
Right. And it enables people to produce local programming in a way that I think is kind of evaporated as far as journalism. There just aren't the local reporters here like there used to be. And so now it falls to community members to do that. And I think, different stations operate a little differently across the country, and we aren't a nonprofit here. Some of them have turned to being nonprofits. And some people put all of the technology in the hands of the community members, but we here try and make it turnkey so people can just show up, sit down, and make the podcast, and we do everything kind of behind the scenes for them. So we wanted to make sure we invite people who are in one of our 6 communities to come and produce a show with us. So do you have any other thoughts today on?
You did mention the complaint aspect of it.
Sure.
A big part of my job is for residents that have an issue with a cable TV provider and they can't seem to get resolution with the provider. They can call me, and I work with escalation teams that have been established by AT&T, WOW, and Comcast. Not all 4 communities have all 3 providers.
Right.
But if there's an issue and a subscriber or a resident has tried to work through the system with the cable provider and can't seem to get any resolution, our escalation teams are pretty good, and we have a good working relationship with them to try to help residents that are so frustrated. Usually by the time they reach me, they're extremely frustrated.
Because they've been on the phone for an hour or so.
Or cut off or whatever. And I get a lot of complaints about wires that are down or wires that are sagging, or somebody's got a wire that's interfering with their ability to cut their grass or have their lawn service come in. And so I help with that. And as I said, the escalation teams have been really good and responsive to the cable board.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear, because they want to keep everybody's business. And, I think with all the weather incidents that we've had, I mean, it's kind of expected that there are going to be a lot of down wires of one kind or another, and sometimes it's determining who they belong to, right?
Yes, and that summer event in Beverly Hills where the storm just came and wreaked havoc in the village, there were a lot of wire issues, downed wires at that time, so we were able to help with that. Yeah.
Well, Cathy, I got to thank you for your continued service to our communities beyond your retirement. So you're continuing to contribute, and I think it's really excellent to be able to have your expertise be on the board.
Thank you. It's a good feeling to be able to help residents.
Yes, it sure is. Well, if you have any issues, I think I know that on the cable bills themselves, I know the number for Bloomfield Township, the cable for our department is on their actual bill. So I would assume it's your number is on the cable board number is on the bill if people have any issues and need to complain about something. And you can also, if you're paying for cable, you can see that the franchise fees and the PEG fees are broken down there. So you can see how little it is for so much value. Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, Happy New Year. And
thank you. Happy New Year to you,
thank
too.
Thank you. Thank you. And we look forward to more years of continued partnership.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.